Hi everyone. This is the second video in solving the quadratic equation. In my previous video, I have explained how to use factorization to solve quadratic equation and a few examples I have given. And here, this is the sixth example that I'm going to show you by solving the quadratic equation using the completing the square. Okay, the method completing the square. So let's look at the first example. To solve the quadratic equation by completing the square, first thing we need to check is a general form. Okay, quadratic equation must be in is the general form. Then we can start our solving quadratic equation. And the second thing we need to check is the coefficient of the x square. We must always make sure the coefficient of the x square has to be 1 first. Then we can start the completing the square. As this equation having the coefficient of the x square 1, so now I can start complete the square by just copying down the first two terms. And then I add a bracket square minus a bracket square. And the constant here, the negative 15, I move to the right hand side. I will have a 15. All right. And then after that, we take the coefficient of the x, that is negative 2 in this case. Coefficient of the x divided by 2. This is the coefficient of x and divided by 2. So the coefficient of x is a negative 2. Then I will divide this by 2. And the same thing will be filled in into this bracket. After you have done this, we are trying to factoring these three terms, the first three terms, into this form. That is your x, taking the x minus 1. How do you get the negative 1? You got it from here. Negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. So you will put this as a negative 1 and then square. This means that when you expand this x minus 1 square, you will get back these three terms. All right. Then after that, the constant here, you try to simplify, you get negative 1 squared, that is 1, equals to 15. And now I would like to get the x, so I will add the 1 at both sides, or in other words, you can say that you move this to the right hand side. You have your x minus 1 square equals to 16. 15 plus 1, that will be 16. And then in order to get the x, I will eliminate the square by taking the positive negative square root of 16 here. And lastly, I will have positive negative 4, then positive negative 4 plus 1. So you have the two solution or two roots for this equation. You got a positive 4 plus 1, that is 5, or another x is a negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. For this example, we always need to remind us we need to convert our equation into its general form. That is leaving the right hand side to be 0. And then second thing we need to check for completing the square, we need to make sure the coefficient of the x square has to be 1. So we can start it now since the x square now you're having the coefficient 1. We can start by copying down the first two terms of the quadratic form and then plus a bracket square minus a bracket square. This is the method. And then I bring the 6 over to the right. I got negative 6. So what should you fill in this bracket? You always will take the coefficient of the x including its sign. Negative 5, put it here and then divided by 2. The same thing in this bracket. And then the three terms, the first three terms, I always can factorize it in this form. That is your x minus 5 over 2. All right, negative 5 over 2, including the sign, and you will put it here and then square it. All right. Okay, I mentioned again, if you expand this, all right, square, expand this, you will get back these three terms. Okay, and now simplify this, you got 25 over 4 equals to negative 6. So now I will add a positive, I will add a 25 over 4 at both sides. What I have here is this. Negative 6 plus 25 over 4, you have 1 over 4. And my aim is to get the x. I will try to eliminate the square by taking positive, negative, sort of 1 over 4 at the right side. Then I have my positive, negative, 1 over 2 plus 5 over 2. Again, you have a two solution or two roots. The first one is positive 1 over 2 plus 5 over 2. That will be 6 over 2. Finally, you have 3. Or you have the next answer is negative 1 over 2 plus 5 over 2. That is 4 over 2. And finally, you have x equals to 2. Again, this equation has two solution or has two roots for this quadratic equation. This is a simple question. Actually, we do not need any completing the square to solve it, but we can always use a factorization. But since the question is talking about the completing the square, and we will stick to the complete the square. All right, and this is equal to 0. Okay, then now we will fill in the coefficient of the x, that is a negative 5 divided by 2 into the bracket. All right, how do you have this negative 5 over 2? Taking the coefficient of x, that is negative 5, and divided by 2. All right, again, the first three terms will have x minus 5 over 2 square. When you expand this back, you will have these three terms. And after that, you expand this, you got a 25 over 4 equals to 0. Bring the 25 over 4 over. You will have a positive 25 over 4 at the right hand side. And to eliminate a square, we're taking a positive negative square root of a 5 over 4, 25 over 4. That you will have a positive negative 5 over 2. All right, then now you got the x positive negative 5 over 2 plus 5 over 2. So first answer you have is positive 5 over 2 plus 5 over 2. That will be 10 over 2. That equals to 5. And the next solution will be negative 5 over 2 plus 5 over 2. That is 0. So these two are the solution of the quadratic equation. For this example, in order to use completing the square, you must be alert to the coefficient of the x square. We always must be make sure the coefficient of the x square to be 1. So how do we make it 1? You are dividing all the term by 4. So first term divided by 4, you have x squared plus 2x plus 3 over 4 equals to 0 divided by 4. You still will have 0. And now you can start by completing the square. Okay, start completing the square by copying down the first two term and then add a bracket minus a bracket square. Okay, and then bring the constant over to have a negative 3 over 4. And what should you fill in this bracket into the two brackets here? You're taking the coefficient of the x, that is positive 2 divided by 2. Positive 2 divided by 2. Actually, this is producing 0, yeah? Okay, after that, considering these three terms can be factored into the form of x plus 1 because positive 2 divided by 2, you get positive 1. All right, put a positive 1 here. You got a x plus 1 square. And this is having the 1. You got a negative 3 over 4 at the right side. So in order to get the x, okay, you add 1 at both sides. You have a negative 3 over 4 plus 4 over 4, that is 1 over 4. Okay, in order to eliminate square, again, I'm taking the positive negative third of 1 over 2, third of 1 over 4, producing 1 over 2. Then finally, you got a positive negative 1 over 2 minus 1. All right, then now you can conclude your two solution. That is the first one is positive 1 over 2 minus 1. That is negative 1 over 2. Or you may have the next solution as a negative 1 over 2 minus 1. You got a negative 3 over 2. Similar to the question just now, you need to make the coefficient of the x squared to be 1. So in this case, I will divide all the term by 2. Here I have x squared for the first term. Second term, I got 3x. Third term, I got 3 over 2 equals to 0. So now we can start complete the square by copying down the first two term by adding the bracket square minus a bracket square. And the coefficient bring over to the right, you got negative 3 over 2. Taking the coefficient of the x, put it down here and divided by 2. The same thing for the second bracket. All right, and then consider the first three terms. It can be factorized in the form of x plus 3 over 2 square minus, okay, you can square it and you have a 9 over 4 equals to negative 3 over 2. So now your purpose is to solve for the x, bring this over. You will have 3 over 4 after you have simplified it. And the square you might bring over and take, you have a positive negative, so 3 over 4. And positive negative set 3 over 4 can be simplified into the positive negative set 3 over 2. And your x is a positive negative set 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2. All right, so one of the solution will be positive set 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2. And the other solution, it has to be negative set 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2. And you always can have your answer in the decimal form. The first solution, it can be negative 0.634, and then next solution is x equals to negative 2.366. Here is the last example in this video. Again, I would try to make sure the x squared having the coefficient of 1 by divide all the term by 2. I have x squared minus 5 over 2x plus 1 over 2 equals to 0 divided by 2. You still will get back your 0. And then I will copy down the first two term, add a bracket square minus a bracket square. And the constant here, I move to the right hand side. I got negative 1 over 2. So you can see that now the coefficient is negative 5 over 2. By taking negative 5 over 2 divided by 2, later on you will see that you will have a negative 5 over 4. Okay, this is 2. Then after that, considering the three terms, okay, you can simplify this first. You got a negative 5 over 4. You got a negative 5 over 4. Then after that, you simplify the first three term into the factor x minus 5 over 4 divided, power of 2. And after that, minus negative 5 over 4 square, you have a 25 over 16 equals to negative 1 over 2. And then you can bring the negative 25 over 16 over to the right side. You have 17 over 16. So to eliminate the the square, take the positive negative at the right side, square root of 17 over 16. And 17 over 16 always can be written as sort of 17 over 4, because sort of 16 will be equals to 4. And this is your x, taking this plus 5 over 4. Okay, so you got two solutions. The first solution is a positive sort of 17 over 4 plus 5 over 4. And the next solution is a negative sort of 17 over 4 plus 5 over 4. Then you always can convert your answer in the decimal form. With the calculator help, I got this answer, and this is the last example. So in my next video, I'm going to discuss solving quadratic equation by using the formula, quadratic formula. So stay tuned to my channel. Thank you.